And then it's like, okay, Brooklyn has to work. It has to work because he did everything he could to get out of Houston. Everything. Goes to Brooklyn. Obviously, he didn't know the Kyrie situation was going to happen. Okay, we understand. But obviously, KD when he's healthy is arguably the best player in the NBA right now. Those two together. I mean, look, Brooklyn probably would have won the championship last year had those three stayed healthy. No disrespect to Milwaukee. No disrespect. But when they were healthy, nobody was beating Brooklyn. They were unbelievable.
Durant almost did it by himself. I mean, he single-handed. It's a toe on the line.
Right.
Right. That's
Literally.
the difference.
Yeah, that was the difference. And so it's like, okay, they were 13-3 when they played together. And all of a sudden he wants out. And now he's, he does everything he wants. We had a writer, Jake Fisher for Bleacher Report, wrote an article about how, I mean, Harden's 32 years old and he's still doing the same things he was doing 10 years ago. He's flying out of Utah after a game to go to Las Vegas. He's spending half the night partying and then showing up late for a game the next day. He's 32 years old. Like that's 21-year-old behavior. That's not a guy who has accomplished everything on his resume but a title. And then he goes to Philadelphia and makes some comment about, yeah, these guys are all in for winning and blah, blah, blah.
So let me ask you a question. The dynamic between, KD, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, right? It's an interesting little triangle because, like you said, going back to Russell Westbrook, it's like, they take turns leaving each other. Like they're friends, they're great, but it's like in this situation, KD says, "Well, I want to go to New York." But he already made this blood brother pact with Kyrie that they were going to go somewhere together. And Kyrie's like, nah, let's just go to Brooklyn. So they say, okay, let's go to Brooklyn. What was is that dynamic off the court? And is it just a mix of they just can't get it together on the court, but they still like each other? Or is it just a thing where it's a group of scorers, group of guys that are really talented, that are really decorated, that just don't want to put enough aside to make it work?
So when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving first teamed up, obviously the talent is unbelievable. And Durant's the number one option on championship team. Kyrie's, as we know, in Cleveland is the number two guy on a championship team. And I just looked at personality. I haven't spent that much time around Kevin Durant. I have spent time around Kyrie Irving. They are two of the most miserable people. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't think that they're ever truly happy in a situation. And it's almost sad because even like Kyrie Irving, when they won the title, I forget who wrote about it, and maybe it was Brian Windhorst, Dave McMenamin, in Return the King. They won the title, and like Kyrie's dad was there, and he was embracing him, and Kyrie was he was upset about like his shot selection or something just stupid in the game. And it's like, you just won a championship, you just won the title, you just hit the biggest shot in franchise history. And he was just thinking about, what's the media going to say about this? Who cares? Like, he just couldn't be happy. And it's like KD when he was in Golden State and they were winning titles, and it was like, even by year 3, he just couldn't be happy. And he was already like eyeing the door, and, his spat with Draymond Green didn't help. And I just thought personality wise, when these two got together, I'm like, they're going to need some good, strong locker room guys, some veterans in there, because they are two of the most miserable personalities I've ever seen.
When you look at it, you mentioned being miserable. It does seem like, I mean, I'm not going to psychoanalyze anybody. I always thought that, if I had to grow up without a mom, I'd be kind of messed up. If I had to grow up without my dad, it'd be kind of messed up a little bit too. For Kyrie and even Westbrook to a certain extent, I don't see Westbrook ever really quite happy or excited, and James Harden, you talk about being aloof. I mean, the guy doesn't, he does not really, he's at a place, he wants to play with a guy, he doesn't want to play with a guy. Reportedly, he just didn't like New York, and And now all of a sudden he's going to be kind of happy, and he's saying that this is the team he's supposed to be with in Philly. But it kind of reminds me of the same thing with Kyrie in Boston. He goes to Boston and says, now this is a real city. This is a real basketball town, sports city. And then he was there for like 5 minutes and was like, yeah, I can't do this either. Like,